What's happening, Internet? My name is Andrew, otherwise known as Drewicious. Welcome to my basement. I am down here in my dungeon in Minnesota. It is cold AF outside. I am sporting a hat that I am told makes me look like the Edge from U2. I'm not going to respond to that, but I see it. Today, we're getting into part 4 of the Trader Foundations series. We're going to be talking about trader psychology a little bit. And I'm going to do my best to get through it. I frankly, I feel tremendously unqualified to talk about this subject. Like, I've learned some things. I want to share some things. I think it's important for a foundational series, but there's far more information available than I have to give you. But I will share the pittance that I have and hope that it helps. So that is the plan for today. Oh, I got to get out of the way of that thing. Also, I want to say thank you to my guy Scully. He has been giving me some feedback on the audio from the videos. As a result, we made some tweaks, including this very expensive pop filter that keeps the plosives of my P's from blowing your eardrums out when I talk too close to the microphone. So thank you, Scully, for helping make sure that we are really providing the highest quality experience possible for the enormous budget that we operate on. So you all are welcome from Scully. All right, so part 4 is on the way here, guys. These are the topics we're going to go through. We're going to talk a little bit about us, you, in this particular screen, and we're also going to talk about them, or the folks that we are trading with or trading against, our opponents, essentially. But before we get into the content, I gotta do this. I need y'all to smack that like. That helps out the videos, helps me out, lets me know that my time here is worthwhile and helping people out. And if you hate it, you can click the other button and go fuck yourself. That's cool too. Before we get to any further, we have been doing the Basement Journal. I've been sharing some extra content updates with the dogs. In this case, I'm going to be sharing what I found to be a fairly delightful. Hold on a second. I got to click over here. Video that was filmed here in the basement by some local talent, including my dog and my partner Tish. And I thought it was entertaining, so I figured I'd share it with you. I will do my best to stay quiet while we roll that film.
I mean, Ace Pineapple Craft Salad.
All right, this is you doing
a review of shorts by Ryan Gertis, posted February 13th, 2019, entitled Split in the Crotch. I was wearing these shorts around the house when a few friends stopped by. We were all sitting around watching TV when I reached at a weird angle for the remote. The crotch seam pulled apart and my scrotum came spilling out right in front of my friends. This was pretty embarrassing. Picture not attached. I mean, Ace.
All right, so that is our version of 1-star reviews. I can't say that we came up with the bit. Apparently, that's a thing that's going on the internet. But I think she does a great job reading those, so we may do more of those. All right, moving on to actual content. All right, y'all, we're gonna dive in here. We're gonna start with some mindset stuff here. So we have kind of 4 topics that we're gonna talk about very briefly. Again, I'm going to do my best to speed through these because I really don't feel like I'm an expert in this space. But clarity, consistency, objectivity, and growth. I think they are 4 of the most important concepts as it comes to what I'll call the mental foundation or the psychological foundation for training. So what I mean by each of those, clarity is essentially the idea that you see what you're looking for. Right, that you don't color it with bias, that you're not coming in with a lot of hope. It is the ability to look at something with as much objectivity. I know that's a separate line there. But the clarity allows us to actually see what is occurring and not what we're hoping to see. And that can be extremely tough to do, especially if we're already in a position that we very much would like to go a certain way. If we don't have good clarity on that, we can get warning signs that things are about to get worse for us and keep ourselves in a trade that we should get out of. So clarity is extremely important in terms of doing your best to take a look at something with fresh eyes and being aware of any bias that you're bringing in. Consistency refers really to the approach that you come to any given trade. This is easier said than done. All of these things are easier said than done. But the consistency means that you come to each trade with the same mindset that you came to the last trade. And yeah, that sounds a little, basic to say. But ask yourself this. Have you ever found yourself a little frantic after losing a trade and then attempting to get that money back with the next trade, right? Have you ever gone back to a ticker where you lost some money and attempted to get your money back out of that ticker, right? To do a revenge trade. If you are changing your approach with each trade that you take, you are reducing your likelihood for consistency. So that is why the consistency and why the set of rules and why the mindset are so important to make sure that you are not setting yourself up for taking a trade where you don't have the clarity that you actually need to make a very objective trade. And growth is kind of the last one on here. Growth mindset. If that's not a phrase you're familiar with, I absolutely recommend that you go out and Google it. Brené Brown, Simon Sinek, there are a bunch of people that talk about this concept. But the idea is essentially that you're always looking to become a better version of yourself. You're always taking your mistakes and integrating them into, making better decisions next time. So if you have the growth mindset as a trader, I think that is one of the most important things. It's one of the reasons that even though I haven't been trading all that long, I definitely have seen a lot of improvement by making sure that I'm gathering new information and I am attempting to get better and I'm not locked into, I know what I know and that's all I need. Right. I know that I will never know everything that I need to know. I hopefully will be curious for my entire life about a many subjects, including trading. So, and I would absolutely encourage you to try and get yourself into the same mindset of everything around me is a learning opportunity. So to kind of go on that a little bit more, it is a little easy in trading to get fascinated and focused on the wins, right? Like those are the things that get us the money that we're looking for. So they're important, clearly. But that doesn't mean that we should ignore the losses. In fact, losses can be some of the most important things for us to have, because if we stop and we look at what happened, we have the ability to see if we need to make adjustments in our strategy, right? Is our plan still working? Do we need to make adjustments? And I struggle with this first recommendation, keeping a journal, because I suck at keeping journals. I've gotten better. I am getting in. I'm making. I'm doing a little bit of documentation for my theses. I'm going back and I'm making sure that I look to see how it turned out, so that I can make adjustments. But and journals don't have to be super elaborate, right? And there's a ton of stuff. If you Google trading journals, there are templates that are out there. You can use a notepad. You can put them digital. You can type them into Excel. It doesn't matter. The idea is just that you have a running record of what you did and why, so that you can go back over and look to see, did it turn out the way that you wanted or not? Because it is extremely difficult, and maybe it's just for me, but I would imagine for most people, to go back and look at something a week or two or a month ago and truly understand what was in your head at the time. But if you have a journal where you can put down a couple of quick thoughts of, saw this, here's what I expected to happen, put the trade on, it was, 10% win or 20% loss, whatever. Give yourself some data to react to so that you can build a better model as you grow as a trader. And this can also be tricky, this last topic here about separating your execution from strategy. But when you go back and look at trades or just you look at the one that you just took, right? If something didn't go the way that you wanted, try to separate whether your theory or your thesis was good or whether your execution was good or bad. So it is entirely possible that you look at a thing and you're exactly right about what was going to happen, and you simply took a bad exit, or you jumped too soon, or you waited too long, right? That your entry or exit were the fault. Don't throw out your strategy when your execution is the problem. Focus on your execution, and vice versa. If if you have a bad plan, perfect execution, it probably not going to help out all that much. But if you keep the ideas separate of what have you analyzed and what are you looking for versus how did you execute it, it can help you make sure that you don't throw out things that are actually working in your favor. Emotional awareness is really tough, but easier for some folks than others. And I think in trading, emotions can make you unstable. I don't know how to say that any more delicately, but essentially, our emotions cause us to do things, and they are, by their very nature, irrational. And irrational decisions in trading can get you hurt pretty bad. So do your best to be aware of what's going on. Now, I know that depending on what your family was, your family of origin was like, you may have heard the phrase like control your emotions. Look, that's not a thing, okay? Emotions happen. They are triggered, they are faster than our intellect, and they occur deeper in the brain than we can control. They just happen. What we have the ability to do is use our prefrontal cortex and our intellect to take that, I just whacked the mic, to take that emotional response and use it as information in order to make a decision. So be aware. Check yourself before you take a trade or while you're in a trade to see what your state is. And if you are very keyed up on any given emotion, that might be a good sign that it's not a great time to take a trade. And you can look out for certain words like feel or hope or pray. If you find those words either in your brain or coming out of your mouth or when you're typing something, if one of those is involved with your trade, that's not a great sign either. You want to think about a thing. You need to expect about a thing. You need to analyze a thing, right? Those are thinking words. Feel, hope, and pray are emotion-based words, and they can let you know that your emotions are leading your brain around instead of your intellect leading your emotions around. FOMO, I think everybody knows what that means at this point, but just in case, fear of missing out is one of the most powerful human emotions, right? It's the idea of being excluded or missing out on something. And it applies to, it definitely applies to trading, but it applies to all sorts of other stuff, buying things, spending time with friends, right? Like, we don't want, as social animals, we don't want to be excluded from things, or we don't want to miss out on a great deal or on an experience. So if we find ourselves experiencing FOMO, that fear of missing out, it can cause us to make decisions we would not make if we had some clarity and consistency in our approach. So be aware, if you see a trade going on and you're convinced it's the biggest trade in the world, stop. Try to stop. Don't take it, because here's the thing. I promise you there's another trade coming around the corner. You don't have to catch that bus. There's one more right behind it. The market's going to be open after that trade is done. The market will be open tomorrow and next week and next year. There will always be more trades. Don't put yourself into one just because you think it's the one. I promise you it isn't. There will be more. Green versus greed. I do hear sometimes from newer traders, when they get themselves into a trade where they actually find themselves green and then they wait and it turns red on them. And I hate to see that. And I hate to, I've experienced it. Like, I know what that's like. If you're a newer trader and you don't have a rock solid thesis, if you don't know exactly where you're trying to get and you have, exactly how much you're willing to lose in order to get there, if you see green on a trade, put a stop loss in place and make sure that you keep it. Keep a 1% green trade, even if the trade runs 100%. I will never look back at a trade where I get, a 1% gain on a 100% run. I'll never look back on that and feel bad about it. I took my money and I went with it. Now, I would like to get more of that. And if my thesis says, hey, I'm going to hold on to a little bit longer here, right? And maybe I do see some red, but I know where my stop loss is at. I know what my risk tolerance is at. Don't let a green trade go red on you unless you know why you would do that, unless it's a part of your plan. But if you don't have a plan, see some previous videos, if you don't have a plan, right? They're very important. But if you don't know what you're looking for, put a stop loss in place, take your money when it shows up. Don't let it get away from you. And don't feel bad if the trade goes bigger. It's okay. There'll be more money available. Lastly, we were talking about this a little bit earlier about how, emotions come from a deeper part in the brain than the intellect. And so we don't have the ability to control our reactions, but we do have the ability to control our response. So the response is when you take that information of that reaction, you combine it with other information, and then you make a decision about what to do with it. So to the best of your ability, respond, don't react when something comes up during your trading. And make sure that at the end of the day that we're focusing on the big picture. I do see newer traders sometimes get really focused in on whether a given trade is a win or a win or a loss. Of course, it matters whether you win or lose, especially if you're only losing. But there's a risk of allowing a single loss to mess up your psychological foundation for your next trade. So don't, if you get into a trade and it doesn't go the way that you want, if you set your risk tolerance and you know what you're willing to lose in order to, see if you're able to gain a certain amount of money, if it doesn't work out, you should be able to let that money go, right? You should accept that that is a risk. You are paying a certain amount of money to find out if you can make more. And if you don't, you got to be okay with that. And you got to be able to move on. But the idea there is that it's just one trade of many. And that over the series of trades, the important part is that you're staying green, right? And in a previous video, we talked about risk to reward ratios. And they can help you understand that if you manage your risk to reward ratios correctly, you can afford to lose most of your trades and still be profitable. And that's important to keep in mind when you put together your plan and your strategy, to know like, hey, if you're effectively doing a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio, you can afford to lose 60% of your trades and still be profitable, right? 60% of your trades can be red. And as long as you stick to that 2-to-1 ratio, you'll still be profitable. So keep that in mind, right? That's our overall goal, is to keep growing our account, not to win every trade. That's not realistic and it's not healthy. So take that pressure off of yourself. All right. And we're going to talk on this one really quick. Right. At the end of the day, this is a market. It's an exchange, right? People coming in and disagreeing over the value of a thing or what they think something will be worth down the road. So our job here is to identify value, right? To look for something that we believe is going up or going down, and to ride along with it, hopefully on that journal. I just used the word. Our plan is to ride along that journey with that ticker up or down, depending on our plan. So it is important that we know what we want. Like, of course, we want to make money, right? But we have to be clear about, are we taking a scalp trade? Are we doing a day trade? Are we getting into a position, a swing? Understanding why we believe that there's value in the ticker, or if you're playing options contracts, why do we believe that that's going to happen? And what is it that we believe is behind it, right? That's part of the plan, the research, the due diligence as we get into things. But be clear about what it is that you're looking to do, right? That goes back to that clarity. And realize that there are games being played around you, that there are people out there with far more resources than us that are attempting to manipulate our emotions to cause us to make bad decisions. They are attempting to invoke FOMO. They are trying to get us to have hope and fear and concern in order to get us to risk our money so that they can take it out of our hands. That is happening, and it is important. It is critical, I think, for us to remember that is kind of the fun house that we're in the market. And our job is to educate ourselves well enough that we don't fall for those tricks. Okay. So, and also remember that, retail traders, right? The folks that we actually have the ability to connect with, the majority of them are not going to succeed as traders. The vast majority of them, depending on where you look, 90, 95 or more % of those traders will eventually stop trading because they will make enough mistakes and they will fail to learn enough, before they run out of money to become successful. So don't try to be like other traders. Understand them, understand the games that are being played in order to manipulate them, but try not to fall for them. And I know there's we could do a whole video on it. There's a ton of stuff out there about it, but just bear in mind that if you attempt to do what everybody else is doing, you're going to fail. You need to do something different. And you need to try and be one of the the 5 to 10% of successful traders, which means we need to find our statistical edge. And what that means is essentially that we find some way to cause a series of coin flips to be better than 50-50, right? We are looking for a way to increase the probability of outcomes over a series of trades. So that is essentially what we're doing here. We are not attempting to tell the future of every trade we take. We're attempting to find a thing that that gives us what we want more often than it does not. And if we manage our risk to rewards properly, gives us an acceptable amount of money within the parameters of the number of times that we win and lose. So that statistical edge is essentially what we're looking for in all of our strategies, all of our plans, all the indicators, all the things that we learn are all in service of helping us build that statistical edge so that we get the outcome that we're looking for more often than not. Now, bear in mind that, as we get into a marketplace, in some ways, this is a zero-sum game. And in many aspects of trading, in order for one person to win, another person has to lose, right? If that money doesn't come out of nowhere, and if it's not in that person's account, it's in mine. Now, there are exceptions, right? You can buy a ticker for $5 and sell it to someone else for $10 and be very happy with your gain. And then that person can buy it for $10 and sell it to someone else for $15 and be happy with that gain, right? Like, it is possible for exchanges in the stock market to benefit both sides of it. But at some point, stocks can't just go up. At some point, that's going to go the other direction. So somewhere along the line, somebody has to win money. And just bear in mind that you are the target for everyone else in the market. And in some ways, everyone else in the market is a target for you. So there are some other retail traders out there. I think by volume, I think retail traders account for something like 10% of the market. Everything else is comprised of large entities, whales, institutes, hedge funds, banks, right? They're all out there making the market move. And it is our job to sort of follow it around, right? We can't actually impact the market. I don't know how big your wallet is. I do not have enough money to move a ticker. So all I can do is look to see what the market's going to do and try to align myself with it profitably. So those are the other people that are out there that we are probably trading against, right? More often than not, you're going to be dealing with a large entity and not another retail trader. But if you look at that last entry in the opponents, the last one is you. And I put that one in there very much because of what we're talking about right now. You are the only thing you actually have control over in the market. The only thing. You can't control whether indexes go up or down. You can't control the news. You can't control the impacts of, and catalysts that are coming out there. You have control of none of it. The one thing, and take some solace in this, that you have control of in the market is you. And if you focus on your craft and you work on your psychological state, you can avoid becoming your own opponent, right? And that's got to be some comfort in there because it is truly the thing that you can control in the market. So you have the ability to make sure that you don't become your own opponent. Make the investment. I promise you'll be happy. And I also want you guys to remember, the market, your opponents, the people that are out there, they don't care about you. They don't care about what you want. They don't care about whether you're happy or sad. They don't care where your stop loss is at. They don't play fair, and they don't care how you feel. They don't care if they take your money. In fact, well, they do. They want to take your money. So just be aware that by putting yourself into the market, we are targets. We are bait. We are snacks for larger entities. So it is important to keep that mindset of we are the prey, and we are what the market refers to as dumb money. They expect us to behave a certain way, and the manipulations and games that are played are done very intentionally with the intent of separating us from our money. So just don't get stuck up in the market hates me, or, this thing always goes against me, or whatever. It doesn't care. It truly doesn't. You have the ability to control your relationship with the market, but it doesn't even know you exist. You are a grain of sand at the beach. And just remind yourself of your insignificance here. Anytime that you feel like the market's out to get you, I promise you it's not. So it is essentially us versus everyone. And that can sound a little daunting, right? But I think there's some comfort in the fact that we don't have control of the market, right? All we can do is watch to see what it does, look for signals and indications about what might be about to happen, and then try to follow along and gain profit from those moves, right? But we can't go do anything out there. So let go of the idea that you can, make a ticker go up by buying it. I don't know. Maybe if you got a big enough bag on a small enough float ticker, you can make it move up a little bit by swinging your whole wallet at it. I don't know. That does nothing for me. Like I want my investments to make money. I don't care whether I'm in control. I have no illusions of being a market maker. But what we can do is connect with other folks, learn, arm ourselves with information, look at our mental state, take breaks from occasion, be aware if we're getting emotional about trades, right? Those are all the tools we have at our disposal to become better traders. So take some time and realize that, it's not going to happen quickly. But one of my favorite ways to grow is to connect with other traders, to talk about what they're seeing, to learn what they've learned, and to share, right? That's why I do these videos. Like, I don't know everything. I don't know close to 1% of everything. But I've learned some stuff, and I'm happy to share it. And, I do that because there have been other traders that have been willing to do this with me. And I've been very grateful for those contributions. So connect with people, learn from them, exchange ideas. It is one of the best things you can do to help us band together as retail instead of being complete individuals all out there on our own. So that is the end of our part 4. Thank you guys for sticking around. Again, click like if the video was helpful. Subscribe if you want to hear more. Otherwise, oh my gosh, excuse me. I hope you guys have a great day, night, whatever it is there. It's night for me. I'm going to finish up here and go to bed. So cheers all. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.